Hi, Mona West here, and today I'm going to start a new 3-part series, which is called Victoria Regina, and it is based off of little squares of cubic right angle weave and loops of right angle weave. So there's a bracelet here and an earring, and they're all made basically the same way. So I'm going to do this in 3 parts. Part 1 will be showing you how to do the components. Part 2 will be how to make those into an earring, and part 3 will be how to make them into a bracelet. I hope you enjoy this series. I've enjoyed doing it very much, and I'm going to be continuing on, and there will be, I think, probably 3 more sets that will have different colors and different patterns, but all be based off this component. So for this one, where I'm going to show you how to do the component, let's get going with a list of supplies. For this project, you will need 2 number 15 seed beads. I'm using Starlight permanent galvanized round Toho seed beads. You will need a little less than 1 gram of number 11 seed beads, and I'm again using the same ones, the Starlight permanent galvanized round Toho seed beads, but in size 11. Then you will also need 12 Delicas beads, and I'm using transparent silver lined ruby red, and these are in size 11. And then you will need 1 6mm red bicone, and here I'm using Swarovski light Siam. For thread, I am going to use the Nozo Sunoco beading thread. I'm using this because of the color. It's a beige color. It's a little on the soft side. I mean, this is a little stretchier than like Fireline or Wildfire, but the color just really disappears with gold beads. So that's the reason I'm using this. I did try it at first with Fireline, and the black showed up really bad. I mean, it did not look good to me. So that's why I decided to use this, and it really does disappear, and you just see the beauty of the beads and crystals instead of the black thread. And then you want a beading needle, whatever you're comfortable with. I like using a number 11 tulip beading needle. All right, so this is all it's going to take for this project, so let's begin. Okay, so first off, we are going to pick up 4 of the number 11 beads, bring them down close to the end, leave yourself a little bit of tail so you have something to hang on to. And now I'm going to go up through those 4 beads, pull the thread through, got caught on the edge of my beading board. Alright, I'm going to bring that down a little bit more. And now I'm going to tie a knot. If you're not a person who likes knots, then go through the beads again a time or 2. And now both my working thread and my tail thread are coming out of the same bead. So now I'm going to go through the first 2 beads again, and I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. One is I made this knot down here, and this is going to suck, putting it through another bead is going to suck that knot up into the bead. And then also now the working thread and on this side and the tail thread on this side are coming out opposite sides, which is very nice because you have almost nothing to hold on to here. And so having this on the opposite side here gives you something to hold on to. And so now we are going to begin our first cube. So pick up 3 beads and go back through, turn this around, go back through that first bead. So this is bead 1, the one that you end up coming out of. Now I am going to go into bead 2. And I suggest you try and keep it oriented the same way, especially if you aren't super experienced with cubic right angle weave, because it can get confusing. All these squares that you're making, it's hard to distinguish which is the place you're supposed to be. So if you keep it oriented the same way, that'll help you always know that this is our original 4 beads here. All right, now I'm going to pick up 2 more number 11s, and I'm going to go through the last bead we put through bead 1, and now through bead 2. Okay, I'm going to turn it a little bit, and this is our bead 3. So I am going to go through bead 3, cover it up with my finger for a moment so I can pull it tight. Now I'm going to pick up 1 of the red Delicas and 1 of the 11s. And the beginning of the square is the only place where we're going to have 2 Delicas in the same cube. So this will only happen this one time. I'm going to go through the last bead we put in the previous stitch and through bead 3. I'm going to turn it a little bit more here. And this bead, the one that my tail thread's coming out of, is bead 4. So I'm going to go and make this so you can see it, and yet I can still stitch. I'm going to go through this 4th bead, and now I'm going to go up through the first bead we added in the first stitch. And this will now cause when we pull on that, it'll pull our first square together. So now I'm going to add the 2nd red Delica, and then I'm going to go down through bead 3, which in this case is the last bead in stitch 3. Now again is this only place where we'll have those 2 reds together. Then I'll go back through bead 4. And I know this is all very awkward. This first one always is, because there's just not much to hang on to. There isn't much structure there yet. Okay, and now I am going to go back up through that first bead from the previous stitch. All right, now this tangled mess is about to turn into something, I promise. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go around the 4 beads on top. And so your red one will always be here. That's bead 4. And that actually makes it kind of easier, because at least you have something to orient yourself to rather than when every bead's the same color. So I'm just going to go back through these 4 top beads. There's 2. And 3 and 4. And then, so you're coming out of the right place, you have to go back through bead 1 again. And now we're ready to make our second cube. All right, so now I am going to do the same thing again. Pick up 3. Oops, I think one of my smaller beads got in there. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3. We're going to go through bead 1. Then we're going to go through bead 2. Pick up 2 beads, go back through the last bead from the previous stitch and through bead 2. Now go through bead 3, pick up 2 gold beads. I'm going to go through the last stitch from the previous stitch and through bead 3. And now we're going to go through number 4 and up through the first bead from the first stitch we added. You don't have to do both those at the same time. You can do them separately if it doesn't, if it's too awkward or just doesn't feel right. Now we're going to pick up our bead 4, which is our red Delica, and we're going to go down through Miss Gold, through the 4th bead, and back up. Now our 4 beads on top are here again, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to go through all of those, probably 2 at a time. And then to get us in position, I'm going to go back through bead 1. And there we are. Okay, so now we have 1 bead. It's starting to be, so you can sort of see what's going on, facing downward here. So this is actually our corner. All of the corners will have the bead going in a different direction. And now we've got 2 beads, 2 cubes going up. We're going to add 1 more, which we're going to do exactly the same way. So 1, 2, 3. And we'll be working with our top here again. And go through bead 1. Now go through bead 2, pick up 2 beads, go through the last bead from our previous stitch and through bead 2. Now I'm going to go through bead 3, pick up 2 gold, number 11s. We go down through the last bead from the previous stitch and through bead 3. Then we're going to go through 4 without adding any beads and back up through the first stitch we added in bead 1. And now we're going to add our Delica. Go down through the last bead and stitch 3. Through bead 4. Back up. And now we're going to go around those 4 beads on top. Just link them together. And back through that first bead so that we're in position to begin again. Okay, so now we have almost one leg completed. We have this corner, and then we have 3 of the red Delicas. So this is going to be the face of the square. Now we need to make another corner. So we're going to, instead of putting the red Delica here, we're going to have it on the side over here, so that we're beginning to, we'll begin the second leg from there. So at the beginning it's just the same though. Pick up 3, go through bead 1, then go through bead 2, pick up 2 beads, go back through the last bead from the previous stitch and back through bead 2, turn it again. Now we're on bead 3, so I'm going to go through bead 3, and this time instead of picking up 2 golds, I'm going to pick up a red and a gold. So that's what we've got. Go back through the last stitch from the previous bead and through bead 3. Now we're going to go through bead 4, not add anything, up through the first bead added with bead 1. And now here's the change. We are going to put a gold here instead of a red bead, and I'll show you why. Go down through the last bead added in the third stitch, and I'm going to go at the same time through bead 4 from the previous cube and back up. Now you can see this is a side, so these are both corners. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make the second leg, and it's going to go up this way, and that's why we turned it, when we turn the corner here, this bead has to be facing the way the new square will be going. So I'm going to go around these 4 beads, which are now in this stitch. In this cube, they're all gold. Okay, back through the first one. Now, normally we would keep building out this way, but since we want to go up this way, we're going to go through the second bead again, because now we're going to move our whole operation up here. Now we need to be coming out of this bead, because this is our new bead 1, and to get there we're going to have to go around this side. So through bead 2, bead 3, and bead 4, and this should look familiar. I mean, there's our bead 4 being the red Delica, and now we're going to go back through bead 1, and now we're just going to continue as we were. So I'm going to show you this one more time. Pick up 3 gold beads, and turn it and go through bead number 2, pick up 2 gold beads, which are number 11s, go back through the last bead from the previous stitch and through bead 2. Go through bead 3, pick up 2 11 golds, go back through the last bead from the previous stitch and through bead 4, Now we're going to go through the fourth bead, which is the red Delica, and we're going to go up and pick up another red Delica, take it across and go through the last bead added in the previous stitch, and through the previous red Delica, which is stitch 4. Then we'll stitch our way up and I'll go through all the beads on top here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back through bead 1 to put us in position for our next unit. So here you can see that we have one leg here, and now we're starting our next leg. So we will make, we have 2 units going this way. We will add 1 more unit going this way, and then we'll do our corner again. So I will show you the continuation of leg 2. Pick up 3 number 11s, go through bead 1, now go through bead 2, pick up 2 gold 11s, go back through the last bead from the previous stitch and through bead 2. Now go through bead 3, oops, dropped my needle. Pick up 2 golds, go through the last bead from the previous stitch and through bead 3. Now go through, don't add any beads, just go through bead 4, go up the first bead from bead 1, and now we will add our gold Delica, go down the last bead from stitch 3, through the bead 4 from the previous stitch, and back up till we're on top again. Go through the top 4 beads to connect them. And back through the first bead, so we're in position. This is what we have. So our next bead, so we will always have 3 red beads on a side. So this is 1, 2, 3. So our next unit, our next cube, is going to be the corner unit. So this will be the one where the red Delica is in a different place. So we started out just the same though. We pick up 3 gold 11s, go through stitch 1, and now I'm gonna just push my way through stitch 2 too, so I'm ready. Now I pick up 2 number 11s, go through the last bead from the previous stitch and through bead 2. Now we're going to do our third stitch, so we go through bead number 3, and this is the one where we're going to do the corner, so it's different. So we pick up the red number 11 red Delica and an 11 gold. Then we go down through the last stitch, last bead from the previous stitch, and through bead 3 again. We go through bead 4 without adding anything, and then I'm going to go up through the first bead added in this cube. And since I have already put a red Delica over there, since it's a corner, I am going to pick up a gold instead of a red. I'm going to go down through the last bead added in stitch 3, which will be our red Delica. If I can get it through there. And then I'm going to go through the previous bead 4, back up. I'm going to go around all the beads on the end. And note this time again, these are all gold because this is a corner. I'm going to go back through 1 and 2 because we're now going to be in positioning ourselves to move up and do side 3. So I'm going to turn this off and I'm going to do side 3 and the beginning of side 4 because everything else we've done, it'll be exactly the same. You'll go up 3 units, do a corner unit, turn this way. Alright, so work on that and I'll meet you back here. All we have left to do now is to close up the last side. We have 2 red Delicas here and 1 here, so we are done except for closing up this last side. We do that by adding beads to 3 of the sides, and the number of beads differs. I like to start on the outside, so if you're not already here, weave your way through until you're coming out of the top bead of the lower portion. So for this we're going to need 2 beads. We have a bottom bead and we have a top bead, so we're going to need our side beads. So I'm coming out of the lower, I'm going to go through the upper. And now I'm going to add on the other lower bead, and then I'm going to go back through the bottom bead. Now this only has 1 thread path through it, so it's very loose, so I'm going to go through it again. And you notice how I'm holding it in my hand. This keeps all the beads together and makes it easier to go through them. And through the bottom again. Now I'm going to go through 2 of the beads one more time to get me to the front so that I can add the beads here. And on the front and the back we'll just need to add 1 bead. So I have 1 here and 1 here and 1 here, so I need the 4th one. So I'm going to begin by going through the red Delica. I'm going to pick up a bead and I'm going to go through the side and then back up and go through the 4th bead. Pull that tight. Now I'm going to weave my way to the back where I'm going to complete that side. Okay, so here again I have 3 of the 4 beads that I need. I have 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one's going to go right here. So first I'm going to go through the beads that are already here. and add my fourth bead. And now I'm going to go back through my first bead. And again, I'm going to reinforce this by going around again. Normally, as we're doing the squares, we go through each bead a number of times. But with this, we're not. So it'll be pretty flimsy unless we go through it again. Now the side that we'll have left after this is the inside. And we're not going to add any beads there. All we're going to be doing is connecting some of the beads that are not connected. Okay, so I've been through this. I'm going to weave my way back, and so it's the inside corner here. I'm going to spread this apart a little bit, so I hope you can see this pretty well. Okay, so now I'm going to go up through the last bead, or the bead closest to that corner. Then I'm going to go through the bead that's in the center and through to the other side. I'm going to flip my work over. I'm on this side, and I'm going to go down the first bead on this outside of this corner, and then I'm going to go through this last bead, which is through the center again. And finally, I'm going to go back through the bead on this side. Okay, now our square is complete. So the only other thing we have to do at this point is to add in the bicone that's going to go in the middle. So for that, I've got my 6mm bicone, and I have a couple of 15-0s. I'm just going to need 2, but that's what came when I grabbed. So to do this, we're in a pretty good position. What we want to do is we want to be going through the bead that is in the center that goes through this way. So it's not on any of the faces, it's on the inside. There is a bead in there that goes through. It's getting a little crowded in there, but there's still enough room. Okay, so now I'm going to pick up a 15, my 6mm, and a 15. And the purpose of the 15s here is twofold. One is that they help ensure, even though they're very small, that you don't have much thread showing. And the other thing they do is they help cushion the bicone, because crystals are very hard on thread. They can rip it up pretty quickly. So by putting a couple of 15s on either, putting a 15 on either end, it helps to keep those sharp edges from having much contact with the thread. So now I'm going to go down, and I'm going to go through the same center bead that is on the opposite side. And that fits in there perfectly. Now we're going to reinforce this by going back up. So here's where I came out on the back side, and now I'm going to just go through empty space here. I'm not going through a bead. Just want to get back to this front side. Now I'm going to go through the 15-0, the bicone, and the 15-0. There we go. Now I'm one more time going to go back through that central bead that is right here. And there you are. So now your component is complete. All we have left to do is to tie off our thread, whatever your favorite method is, and you will have finished the first building block for either a pair of earrings, a necklace, or a bracelet. And so in the next video I will show you how to turn these into those pieces of jewelry. So thanks again for joining me, and I will see you soon, and we'll make the next video will be on turning these into an earring. Thanks.